now what? Now, what are we going to do with what has been discovered and uncovered? Here's what we're going to do. I'm going to offer a challenge to you. Because change internally without a challenge and external actions, you could easily go backwards and not ever change at all. An internal change is simply just a good idea without some external actions. So now, here's the challenge. I want you to take an adventure with Jesus. I want you to picture this. Picture your wildest dreams. Maybe even picture your wildest scenario of being in the wild, being maybe in the Alaskan frontier, being in an ocean, being on a mountaintop. What does adventure look like? When I say that word, adventure, what do you see? Now, when I say adventure with Jesus, what do you see? That's the challenge, is for you to go out and be all that he's created you to be. Here's what I've discovered. I've spent time with you, talking with you, and it has been a blast. I sat here and talked in front of the camera, and through the course of conversations, I've been discovering the notes of who I am. When I think about that, the notes of who I am, it's like a song, right? Like there's so much power in music. And the notes of my life have created a song that will be sung for eternity. And the song, I think, has probably been playing since, before I was ever even born. It's something that my father created, that Jesus created, and he put it in motion. And now I'm just discovering the notes and the melodies in my own life. And what a delight and a joy it's been. And I look at what I have been able to experience, and I wonder for you, what needs to happen for you to discover the notes of your own life so that you can take an adventure with Jesus like you've never taken before. So for me, it's been sitting here in front of you. It's been pulling out the camera, putting the microphones and the lights and all of the things, and being courageous enough to put myself on display for the whole world to see. And in the process, I discovered me. So maybe for you, it's to take out your camera. And maybe when you take out your camera and you start digging into who you are to release the testimony of who you are for the generation to come, maybe you discover more about you than you've ever discovered before. What if it's writing music? What if you intentionally sit down and you start allowing yourself to discover you in new ways, and you create melodies and songs that have never been heard before? What if you're a writer, and what if you need to pick up a pen and paper or a computer and you start typing and you write blogs and you write articles? What if you write a book? What if what you need to do is to sit down and write a book of your life? And maybe no one will ever see this book. Maybe this book that you're going to write is a book that your children will see. Maybe it's a memoir of your life, and it's something that you can hold on to and hold close as a testimony. But through the process of digging into who you are and getting it out, you discover more about you than ever before. It's a challenge. It's an adventure. And it's not for the faint of heart. It takes courage to go on an adventure with Jesus. It takes courage to put your heart on paper, or your heart into melody, or your deepest desires to a camera. It takes courage. But what I will say is the payoff is something that is beautiful. There's something about getting your inside out and telling your story. Isn't that the story of the Bible? And the common thread, Jesus went place to place, telling the story of his Father. Then the disciples went place to place telling the story of Jesus. And then they began to tell the story of the kingdom and what that looked like. And man, there is something beautiful about telling your story. This whole topic of conversation, the table, its history, its conversations made. Man, the weightiness of what God has done in your life, the story of your life that other people need to hear. It's beautiful. And as you begin to tell your story, you find this level of wholeness and healing that you've never felt before. So my invitation is take the challenge to brave the wild. Take the challenge to start creating a path into places that are completely unknown. I remember one time I was in a meeting with some people and we were praying and just asking Jesus, what's next in my life? And what do you have for me? And I remember him saying, find me in the expanse. Gosh, 3 years ago, I didn't know what that meant. But in my mind, what I saw was this, as far as the eye could see, this green grass of mountains and trees and valleys and hills. And it wasn't like he was saying, I hope you can find me. It was like, take the journey with me. Like, let's go explore the expanse of your future. Now I stand here today feeling like I'm standing in the middle of a wide open field, taking an adventure with Jesus, an adventure of my lifetime. And I'm celebrating the journey of what God is doing in my life with you. You do the same with someone else. Maybe it's just sitting down and having coffee with someone and starting to tell them of the goodness of what God has done in your life. Isn't that the heart of evangelism? Isn't that the heart of what the stories are all about? Is to tell others of the adventure of your life, the adventures that you have had with Jesus. My friend says, predictability is the killer of adventures. And I don't know about you, but I think we want to know what's on the other side. We want to know what we're going to find in the wild. But the challenge is take the risk and say yes to the adventure, even though you might not know what tomorrow brings. You will find Jesus in the expanse.